welcome back. I don't know what is really going on, but when you take a look at what is going on now, you begin to see something like, um, I don't know, but something that is like going close to World War. When you take a look at what is going on in Russia, Ukraine, now it is Israel, Hamas, now Iran getting involved. And as it is right now, Iran have launched up to, let's say, nothing less than 400. It's about 400 to 500 missiles, drones, suicidal drones to Israel, but to the glory of God, Israel are intercepting them, and their war jets, fighters, are also in the skies, coupled with America sending their own. So we are watching direct live from Al Jazeera what is going on now. I'm going to be streaming it live as long as I'll be awake to stream it. So let's go.
Who have been assassinated inside the country, and Iran has repeatedly blamed Israel for them. Now, this is something that the Iranians have never considered until now, but it seems that an attack in Damascus was the final straw for the Iranians. And of course, we have to remember that this country's history, the long war that it was engaged in with Iraq 8 years after the revolution happened here in 1979. The war began in 1980 and lasted until 1988. It was devastating for this country. And the supreme leader that is now in power since 1989, he's the commander-in-chief of the country's armed forces, had a very difficult decision to make. This was not something that was taken lightly by Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, because to engage with direct conflict with Israel is something nobody here wants or wanted. But I think the officials felt there was no other option. If they use proxies in the region, they will be made to look weak, because they had said that they don't have direct say of what those proxies do. So they felt this was a time for them to step up. There has been rhetoric for the past 45 years in Iran between what the Iranians feel Israel is doing in Palestine and how Iran will respond to the aggression that has continued against the Palestinian population. So I have to tell you, these scenes that we're seeing tonight are extremely unprecedented. I think many Iranians, when they wake up on Sunday morning, will be utterly shocked that Iran has actually taken this decision to launch direct attacks from Iran towards Israel. These are threats that we've heard over and over again over the past 4 decades. But to see the scenes over Jerusalem and Tel Aviv are something many here never imagined they would see.
All right, Jorsa Jabari there reporting live for us from the Iranian capital, Tehran. As we're looking at some of those earlier pictures of those interceptions, we understand there have been explosions and interceptions throughout, across Israel, against these Iranian missiles and drones as they're being intercepted. So those are some of the pictures you're seeing on your screen now. Let's bring in Sean Bell. He's a military analyst and a retired Air Vice Marshal. He joins us live from Birmingham in the UK. Sean, thank you very much for being with us. Give us first your response then to this retaliation we're seeing tonight against Israel. And how surprised are you that Iran used a direct attack rather than its proxies? Because that's significant, isn't it?
Yeah, good evening, Darren. It is significant. I don't think many people are surprised. I think, as your correspondents quite rightly have been saying, you know, when Israel chose to mount an attack onto the consulate in Syria, the Iranian consulate, on the 1st of April, killing 13 people, including a senior military commander, that they must have expected there was going to be some sort of retaliation. I think what's been interesting, first of all, is how long it's taken for Iran to find the right response. And also, I think Iran finds itself on the horns of a dilemma. As many of your previous correspondents have been saying, Iran does not want to get involved in a war, but it has to protect its reputation. And it certainly doesn't want to see any retaliation as being an excuse for Israel and potentially America to start attacking Iran, particularly its nuclear weapons program, because ultimately it's not if, it's when Iran finally develops nuclear weapons. That will be the ultimate deterrent for nations like Israel and the US, and it will not want to see those get lost. So I don't think anybody's surprised at the level of the attack. I think what we're all looking for at the moment is whether or not they are military targets, maybe government targets, whether there have been telephone warnings to advise to try and minimize the number of casualties, and whether or not actually this is a single wave of attacks. I think what's other thing you're seeing on your pictures, though, I would remind viewers that at the moment, the Iron Dome and systems like that are only really useful against drones. And it does seem to be that Iran has coordinated a series of attacks, potentially even Hamas firing rockets, but certainly Hezbollah firing rockets. And with the Houthis also attacking in the Red Sea, this is a very, very well coordinated series of attacks by Iran, trying to make a clear point to Israel.
Yeah, Sean, let's just stick with the issue of the drones. What do we know then about these Shahed drones that are now coming in over Israel and being intercepted? I mean, their range, their speed, their warheads, their payloads, etc. Because we know that they've also been used by the Russians in the war with Ukraine.
Yes, I mean, from a military perspective, they're not that capable. I mean, they're about the same speed as a car. They do about up to 140 miles an hour. They have got long endurance. They can travel hundreds of miles, and they can be quite carefully programmed. They've got a relatively small warhead, 50 kilograms, but that will still do a lot of damage on the ground. But they're really more terror weapons than anything else. The huge advantage is that these things are probably only about $20,000 a time, whereas most of the cruise and ballistic missiles, you're talking about $1 million, $2 million a time. So the great thing about drones is that you can afford quantity, and sort of quantity has a quality all of its own, because you can actually start to deluge air defenses, and that's what these weapons are trying to do. They're a terror weapon more than actually physically be able to do material damage, but they are, as you said, very widely being used out in by the Russians against Ukraine targets, because it forces air defense systems to operate against them, sucking up expensive air defense missiles, and therefore creating potentially the pathway through for cruise missiles and the ballistic missiles, which are much more expensive, travel a lot faster, a lot more capable, but obviously are limited supplies and very expensive.
Yeah, let's just get a final thought from you, Sean, and stay with that issue of the Iranian strategy here. You were saying it's to overwhelm, is it to overwhelm Israel's multi-layered air defense system, and by using other aerial assets like missiles, cruise missiles, ballistic missiles? In effect, the attack itself is multi-layered as well.
The attack will certainly be multi-layered. I mean, there's no point firing one missile and having it shot down out of the sky by the very careful, very high-tech Israel air defense systems. That would appear that Iran was not strong. It wouldn't be seen as a robust response. So it would have to have considered a multi-wave attack. But Iran would have been well aware that most of the drones will get shot down. It's more a question of where the main missile strikes. But my overwhelming sense of this, though, is that Israel must have known when it attacked that consulate on the 1st of April that they would trigger some sort of response like this. And despite America asking Iran for a measured response, telling them not to respond, Iran probably had no choice. So the real question is, what was Israel seeking to achieve with those attacks on the 1st of April? And is this part of a carefully coordinated plan? Because Israel's made no secret of the fact that, having dealt with Hamas, it wanted to deal with Hezbollah next, and this attack by Iran might well give Israel license to have a go after Hezbollah next.
All right, Sean Bell, live for us there from Birmingham in the UK. Sean Bell, a military analyst and retired Air Vice Marshal. Thank you very much indeed for your time and your analysis. Let's go back to Rory Challens. He joins us live from occupied East Jerusalem. Rory, so just talk us through now what you're seeing and hearing. You're there in occupied East Jerusalem. You've been hearing these explosions, seeing these interceptions. Tell us what you're seeing. Tell us a bit more, Rory.
Well, there have been extraordinary scenes, I have to say, over the skies of Jerusalem this evening. Just a half an hour ago, it looks calm now. It is calm, but just 30 or so minutes ago, the sky behind me was lit up with, well, I mean, what looked from here like slow-moving fireworks arching into the sky, which were interceptors launched by Israeli air defense all around the city, rising up to meet the threat of Iranian drones coming in, perhaps cruise missiles. We don't know exactly what the targets up in the sky were. But this is unprecedented, an Iranian drone and missile attack coming into the main cities of Israel, and an attack from Iran on Israeli territory itself, of the launching of dozens, if not hundreds, of drones. We understand that several waves have been launched from Iran, and it's possible that what I saw in the skies just a few minutes ago was only the first of those waves coming in. There might well be more. The Israeli government is saying that the battle is not over. What he was meaning by that, the Israeli spokesperson, government spokesperson, was that Israel is going to be launching its own response. So lots of questions, because we are in uncharted territory at the moment. Those questions are, how many more of these projectiles, missiles and drones launched from Iran, launched from Hezbollah, launched from the Houthis, are going to be making their way to Israel? How many of them are going to be getting through? We understand at the moment, we only know of one actual ground detonation down in the Negev deserts, injuring a Bedouin boy. What is Israel's response going to be? These are the big questions that are going to be answered only as we go through the night and then into the days to come.
Yeah, Rory, you touched briefly there on a possible target there near the Negev desert. Is there any indication yet as to what the targets are and where these drones and missiles might be landing? And presumably, I mean, they won't be going for civilian targets.
Well, that's the assumption, but it can't be a given, because as we've seen, there have been targets seemingly selected in Jerusalem itself, or at least the drones or the missiles were passing over here and being intercepted over here. So we can't assume that civilian targets haven't been chosen. It is more likely that the Iranians are going for military targets. That, I think, is the main assumption from the Israeli military planners and from the Americans who've been assisting them in their overwatch, in their intelligence, in their electronic warfare, and also with planes up in the skies, not just over Israel itself, but over Jordan and around the region, trying to intercept these threats as they come in. We understand that the British have had planes up as well, and the French has been assisting with its navy. So Israel has assistance from various parties, various countries and allies. It's had assistance from the Jordanians as well, who've been shooting down these drones as they've been passing over. It seems, for the moment, like the threat is being dealt with, but no air defence system is 100%, and there will always be things that get through.
Rory, just a final thought to you. I mean, you're saying now that things have calmed down somewhat there where you are in occupied East Jerusalem. What is the Israeli public, Rory, being told? I mean, we know that schools have been closed, the airport's closed, air raid shelters have been reopened. How are ordinary citizens being prepared as the country's on high alert?
Well, the country's been waiting for this for more than a week. So I think everyone has sort of accepted that something is coming, something has been imminent, and they have been told various things that they should do, various things that they shouldn't do by the government. They've been told not to panic because governments are always very keen to avoid that kind of hysteria breaking out on the streets with people running hither and thither and causing all sorts of chaos. They didn't want that to happen, but they did want people to have the knowledge of where the nearest air raid shelter was, and to make sure that it wasn't locked or the pathway to it wasn't obstructed, those kinds of things. But then, of course, the government has been putting into place, as this attack seems to be getting more and more imminent, this evening, the government put into place these extra restrictions on gathering people, gathering in crowds more than 1,000. That disrupted an anti-government protest that was taking place in Tel Aviv earlier on this evening. And schools, as you say, are being shut for the next 2 days. Daycare, universities, any kind of educational establishment are basically shutting its doors, doing any kind of teaching online. These are the kinds of things that the Israeli public have been told to prepare for and the rules that they have to obey.
All right, Rory Challen's live for us there in occupied East Jerusalem. Rory, thank you. And for those viewers who are just joining us now, we're seeing some earlier pictures there of those Iranian drones being intercepted over various parts of Israel. Those are the pictures that you're seeing on your screen now. Rory's been telling us that there have been interceptions across Israel tonight. So they're just some of the earlier pictures. But Rory was telling us there from occupied East Jerusalem that it seems to have quietened down, certainly in Jerusalem for now. That may be just the fact that it's the first of many waves. But for now, Rory is saying the threat seems to have dissipated over Jerusalem. Let's bring in Hamda Salut. She's in Tel Aviv and was earlier at an anti-government rally there. Hamda, events have moved swiftly tonight, haven't they, with this Iranian response? We came to you earlier and you were telling us about explosions and interceptions with the air defense system. What are you seeing and hearing now, Hamda?
Well, now it is seeming like this has passed at least the first wave of it, but the Israelis have said that this is not over. There were initial reports in the evening of a second.
Ahora con Lowy, hasta un año de Prime incluido en tu tarifa.
Well, what we are seeing, to me, it be like say the thing done the entire world war. Because when you really take a look at what is going on now, you see what is happening now, you begin to ask yourself what really is going on. Repentant Boko Haram in Enugu, all of them join. And the one in Bokos again, so many things are happening as it is happening there in the what do you call it, in Israel. It's happening everywhere. Imagine Iran coming out now openly. Iran is now coming out openly. Let me just show you something that is happening in Nigeria today. Let me just bring it up and show you so you will see. And this kind of news are the news they hardly show you. There's something happening today. Now, listen. Over 50 gunmen invade Plateau State community, kill women, children, as council chairman says military stayed away. Now, let's hear, military were there, but they did not do anything. Let me just give you the full details. Let me read the full details for you now. Listen. The attack, which occurred in Mandongo, Mushu, and Kofanel villages in Bokos and the Mangu local government areas on Friday night. Also, this evening, this yesterday night, we break today, also left several persons injured. With properties, including houses of the villagers, set ablaze by the gunmen. Now listen, gunmen have reportedly killed 10 persons, mostly women and the children, in 2 separate attacks in Plateau State. The attacks, which occurred in Mandungu, Mushu, and the Koponale villages in Bokos and the Mangu local government area on Friday night, that was yesterday, also left several persons injured with properties, including houses of the villagers. Sorry, excuse me. When I talk too much. The chairman, listen now, the chairman of the Bokos, the chairman of the Bokos Central Development Council, Famasun Fudong, confirmed the killing in a statement. Now listen. The statement read, last night, April 12, 2024, our community in the Bokos local government area of Plateau State faced a horrific attack resulting in the senseless slaughter of at least 10 of our members. Despite, listen, despite the presence of security forces, including DSS, the army, and the police, the perpetrators identified as a Fulani terrorist were allowed to carry out their heinous act with impunity. Despite the presence of security forces, army, police, DSS, their presence, despite the presence of DSS, police, and army, the Funanis still went on to do what they did. Under the cover of darkness, more than 50 armed terrorists descended upon the villages of Man. Listen, this is the point I just want us to get. Look here. After reading this night, I marveled as things are unfolding. Many more things are happening that we don't even know. Many more things. This happened yesterday, Friday night. So, we should be ready. Russia have deployed their military to go to with equipment, everything necessarily needed to Niger to bring them up to the standard to get ready. Are we ready? What we are seeing, don't be surprised if it turn into world war. This is Iran now launching missiles direct into Israel. Direct. The first time they came out openly to tell you we want you dead, and they are not stopping. The missiles has been coming in since hours, for hours now. But Israel were prepared. Netanyahu kept telling them, we are prepared for what is coming. And they have been taking them. They have been, by the Iron Dome or whatever, they have been destroying their missiles in the air. It has not hurt or killed anybody. Now, make on the Siam. This is what we called war against the people of God. And what you are seeing is not stopping yet. The missiles, and what you are seeing now, listen, what you are seeing on the screen are the missiles flying in. They are missiles coming in steadily. Not that it is coming one. Hundreds are coming in the same time. Hundreds are coming in the same time. Now you will ask yourself, what were they doing? They were trying to destroy, wipe out the whole Israeli race. Let's keep listening to them and see. Let's listen a little more before I go to bed.
Humanitarian pier to receive the delivery of food there. But the Pentagon has been moving to even beef up more the presence of U.S. troops in this region, not to mention the USS Eisenhower carrier group, which includes 2 destroyers as well as 9 Air Force squadrons that have all been placed there waiting in anticipation for this moment to arrive. Again, we're not exactly clear which assets were used to take down these Iranian drones, but that response continues as we speak.
Yeah, Heidi, let's just go back to President Biden, because there's some speculation that he knew about this attack. What sort of behind-the-scenes diplomatic warnings or intelligence led Biden to believe that the response would be sooner rather than later?
He certainly hinted at that. He said there was intelligence that he knew of but couldn't get into publicly yesterday when he said those words exactly, that this attack would be coming sooner rather than later. And he told Iran at that time, this was about 24 hours ago now, don't do it. Well, obviously, that advice was disregarded by Iran. But behind the scenes, the U.S. has been, over the last 10 days or so, really ramping up diplomatic pressure, trying to avoid this very moment from occurring, using pressure on third-party countries to try to pressure Iran to back down from its threat. But the fact that this is taking place came as a surprise to no one, given that the U.S. had intelligence that this would be occurring and the many clues and the telegraphing that Iran gave that this moment would arrive.
All right, Heidi Castro, live for us there in Washington, D.C. Heidi, thank you. Well, there's been strong reaction from leaders abroad and the region. The EU's foreign policy chief, Josep Borrell, released the following statement on X. He said the EU strongly condemns the unacceptable Iranian attack against Israel. This is an unprecedented escalation and a grave threat to regional security. Well, the UK has been a firm supporter of Israel. The British Prime Minister, Rishi Sunak, has reacted by saying, I condemn in the strongest terms the Iranian regime's attack against Israel.
It also has a Quds force. That's its external operation. The deputy commander, General Zahedi, Brigadier General Zahedi, who was killed at the Iranian consulate a few days ago in Damascus, is a highly valuable military and also sort of tactical and strategic figure for the Iranian leadership. I would say this is probably the most important loss for Iran for Iranian regime since the killing of Major General Qasem Soleimani, the former head of the IRGC, who was killed by the U.S. on January 3rd, 2020. It's a huge blow. So now they're retaliating. President Biden told the Iranians not to do it. The U.S. stands firmly behind Israel. The question is, A, how much damage these attacks are going to cause? Second, well, let me back up. The most important question is this it? Is this the only wave of attacks? These suicide drones and some missiles that Iran so far has launched, is there going to be another wave? Is Iran going to use its proxies? Hezbollah to Israel's north has hundreds of thousands of rockets and tens of thousands of missiles. And so if they start launching theirs, let's say in coordination with other proxies in the region, if the Hamas has been pretty much decapitated in Gaza, so they are really not in a position to do much from southern Israel. But so the first question is that it? Is there going to be another wave either from Iran or Iran's proxies? Second question is, where are these drones and missiles going? We don't exactly know where they're going to land. Iran has said they have these predetermined locations, but I don't have a lot of faith in the accuracy. Even if they did, have certain places in mind, I don't have a lot of faith in the accuracy of their delivery technology. And third is really a reaction. How is Israel going to react? This is the first time since the Yom Kippur War of 1973, with one little exception. That's Saddam launching missiles in January of 1991. But this is the first time a state has actually attacked Israel without any U.S. involvement, without any secondary or other war. In 1991, there was the Gulf War, and Saddam launched missiles. But this is the first time since 1973, and we have to see how Israel reacts.
Mr. Aramesh, before this happened, well, actually, just before the attack on the Iranian consulate in Damascus, there were huge tensions between the two allies, Israel and the United States, and obviously that came from what many in the U.S. saw as an excessive level of civilian death in Gaza. Then, of course, there was the killing of the aid workers, one of them an American. Ultimately, how much sway do you think the United States will have in the coming hours and days over Israel in their response to this Iranian attack?
Let's not forget, when Israel is under attack, the United States closes ranks and fully supports Israel. As in the words of President Biden and National Security Advisor, and for a second, I am now forgetting his name. The U.S. support for Israel is ironclad. So Jake Sullivan, I'm sorry, that's right in front of you, and you miss his name, Jake Sullivan. So the U.S. support for Israel is ironclad. What does that mean, ironclad? Ironclad means when Israel's security and its existence and its safety comes under question and is jeopardized, the United States, as Israel's most important, largest, most powerful, and only guarantor, puts aside its grievances, puts aside its differences, and supports Israel. That's U.S. policy, Democratic or Republican administrations. Yes,
that's obviously official U.S. policy, but behind the scenes, considering that for the past few months, really, since the start of the war between Israel and Hamas, we haven't really seen Israel listen to the United States. I wonder whether you think that whatever it is that the U.S. will now say to Israel behind closed doors, whether you think Israel will actually listen.
I think the advice from the Biden administration would be for Israel to show restraint. Now, Israel has a right to defend itself, but the Biden administration's policy generally is try to de-escalate. Any escalatory sort of approach or action that would cause a reaction is something that this administration does not favor. Having said that, you have to create a balance between de-escalation and deterrence. Sometimes when you try to de-escalate too much, for instance, for months, we tried to de-escalate with the Iranians in Iraq and Syria. They escalated until they killed 3 Army National Guard troops in Jordan when they sent those suicide drones. And then the U.S. retaliated, paused that situation. How much sway does the U.S. have over the Netanyahu administration? More than any other country. Let's put it this way. I'm not going to quantify and give you a number, but more than any other country. The U.S. is obviously Israel's larger supporter and provider of weapons, technology, intelligence. And again, in times of crises, the two countries get a lot closer to each other. Remember, after October 7th, President Biden, Secretary of State Blinken, Secretary of Lloyd Austin, they all flew there. President Biden went to the war zone, went to Tel Aviv, went to Jerusalem, met with high cabinet leaders. But again, I understand that people expect the U.S. to dictate terms to Israel. The U.S. doesn't dictate terms to South Korea or Japan or Germany or other allies for that matter. So why would anyone expect us to dictate terms to Israel? Yes, we have some leverage, we have some influence like two allies do, but you shouldn't expect the United States to dictate how Israel should run its war. But again, they are allies. And
what is that? If you want to come in, you come in. But I just want to waste more time because now, I want to go sleep. Make I give you link, but I no go there. I no go there. I make you know. So that's the link. If you want to join me here, you come in.
So that comment coming in from David Cameron, echoing similar words that we heard from the Prime Minister, Rishi Sunak. Mr. Aramesh, very briefly, if you're still there, how worried do you think ultimately the United States will be about the developments that we're seeing in the Middle East? You say it's not for them to dictate rules to Israel on how to handle their affairs, but if it does lead to a regional war, obviously the U.S. is implicated.
Yeah, this is going to have ramifications for all of us. We have major bases in the Middle East, in Qatar, in Bahrain, troops all over the region, from Jordan and Kuwait all the way to Egypt and Saudi and Kuwait and UAE, you name it. There isn't a country that U.S. doesn't support and help with its security. And U.S. troops you have special operations forces in Syria and Iraq. You have conventional forces in other places. And then if if this war escalates and gets out of control, let's say it becomes a real hot conventional war, the two sides launching missiles, and the Iranians don't have much of an air force. They have sort of their main defense is their missiles and their proxies, their missile system, their proxies. But if the Israelis start launching a major campaign, the U.S. is going to get involved, and I think the de-escalation is no longer going to work. So I hope cooler heads would prevail.
Harry Aramesh speaking to me a little bit earlier. Okay, you can see the live shots there of southern Israel and Tel Aviv. Let's also bring you some breaking news, a statement that we're getting from the Iranian Foreign Ministry. Let me read it to you. It says, Tehran will not hesitate to take further defensive measures to safeguard its legitimate interests against any military aggression. So this coming in from the Iranian Foreign Ministry, a statement saying Tehran will not hesitate to take further defensive measures to safeguard its legitimate interests against any military aggressions. Well, I'm joined now by Harley Littman from the American Israel Public Affairs Committee in New York to discuss the development.
What is sister?
Adeye, my brother.
Okay, you get them.
You too much, Mazi. You too much. Hey, from one to one, me I sleep on now. I'm not saying I don't finish. You can't enter this one again. God go bless you, my brother. God, I said I must come support you. But we not go taste it. Now I just come support my brother. God bless you.
Thank you.
I just wait, come it and say whether Iran can't go bomb Israel. They talk about another, not fit sleep. Now so we go give Nigeria sleep. I say PM na agbaragburu na thunder. He go thunder Nigeria upside down. They go hear. They never talk about Israel. Wait. Hey, will they come for them, my brother? Will they come? Will they come? We are a nation of our own. Will they come? Without nothing, we fought the war for a whole 3 years. 3 years, if not more. Without nothing. Without not even one support. The whole war came against us. But look at Israel now. Everybody they support us. Still, they see they find corner till they bombard them. They use bomb till they scatter them from Iran. And where you call so. Eh? And they think say Israel no go retaliate. Make they wait to our I wish our liberation army there. They don't take gidigba. I say I know say PM for send they go to. We for support them army, not only with our mouth. We for support them with army if they give us chance. Because we know say Israel, if they have their way, they will support us. We will support them. In whichever way we will use to support them, we will support them. Because it's like fighting Israel is fighting Biafra. They are the only two children of God. So we're coming for them. They go talk about Biafra very soon when the time comes.
Whether they like it or not.
Whether now by force, now they will talk about them. They not get Mazi, they don't have any choice. You will see. They now if you say they had the format to talk, say Samanepa they use in military, say they finish Nigeria military. If they had them to talk, they don't permit so many for our side. If they had them to talk, now the one where they happen for trauma, now they quick rush out, they come talk. Meanwhile, like PM talk, the one where they happen for our side, yonder for Italy, they never talk. They don't feel talk and they don't feel open and talk. That's what they do them. So they're not gonna know when they go talk. They go talk. They go talk. They go call to make their come settle. They go call say yeah, not go. So they go now by force they will take for also. Like Peter said, they say na Mazi now they fear for inside detention. Mazi nothing go do. They're not fit. They go use and take swap their own the people will go cash. We go cash the Sultan of Sokoto. We go cash am. We'll get hired the Sultan of Sokoto. We go cash the Sultan of Kano. If we dey Kano, we go cash am. We go cash all of them. Their leader now we go for. We go cash them. They say they get this thing. Brother, God bless you. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you so much,
So now
my dear.
this evening, let they begin use bomb now. So this evening.
Yeah, now this evening they begin the fire their missiles into Israel. They say they want finish Israel. They
Wow.
want level Israel. They
Like
want
Momo,
level Israel to desert. They want to turn Israel to desert.
wow.
Ah,
Wow. You know,
but
yeah,
God,
Mumu say one level Okwama too now. He say for level Okwama. So now that only
mm,
that what they here to level
flatten them.
and flatter them. Eh, can you imagine?
God will pass them, my dear.
Ah,
God will pass them. We no get chance but to continue.
but
We know,
this is the right time. Oh, Biafra don't come, oh, my brother. This is the only right time for us to get Biafra.
yeah.
It's the time for this. We have already got it. I don't know if you can see. God just they scattered the whole place so that Biafra will come. He no one give peace to anybody. God no one give peace to nobody. He won't do am. Biafra must come. Go put everywhere go do on fire. Everywhere go do on fire. Biafra don't come finish, my brother. It don't come. I can see it because this kind unsettledness when they did for everywhere so. And this zoo country, so they don't even get army. They not get people are running away. Now maybe they carry all this their Fulani small inch rat them. They come pack and food inside the military to take terrorize us, but we pass them.
God will pass them, my dear.
Yes, yes. I
God
see.
will pass them. What sister, make I shut down, make I forget
Yes, yes.
more
Thank,
rest.
thank you. Don't wait. Thank
Yeah,
you.
yeah.
Thank
Whether
you. Thank you. Yeah, good night.
so Biafran people, what I'm seeing something like World War coming because easy. Anyway, make I reserve my comment until by because definitely Israel will fight back. Israel will fight back. But let's keep watching. Maybe we'll keep our eyes wide open. But remember, if you never do your vote, go do your vote. It's important. Israel do their vote. They stand together. If say Israel they go, some people they fight Netanyahu now. Now they know is their war. They know they have enemies. One enemy, anybody trying to destroy Israel now is enemy. They keep every differences aside. They are now looking for a way to destroy their enemy, one single enemy. So if you a Biafran, it's not time to look for who top pass and who short pass and who gets sense pass. Not to look for a way of stop your enemy before your enemy stops you. I go stop this program here. On a goodbye for now. We will see tomorrow. Tomorrow done is already now. 2 o'clock we day for where they 2 a.m. So now good night.